don't record it.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I thought. I would. When I did it, I was like, this is why I'm really doing that.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because that's an important thing, right? So I don't know if Angela's aware, but there's been a few comments from guys that come in on these Zoom meetings that are unaware that they're being published on YouTube as a reference for basically for everybody in the group, so they can go and find them later, but also they're public. So anyone who's interested in Course in Miracles and whatever can sit and watch them and hopefully get some kind of insight into their own thing. But there's a few guys that have been saying that they're feeling that there's no anonymity in that or something.
Well, they don't feel comfortable. Bottom line is it's just, one person in particular spoke it out, like, I don't want to be seen. And then someone else raised the question, which I was surprised, because I reached out to this other person about something else, about the little clips that I send out, and they were cool with that. But then I got a message saying, these go out to the public. I didn't realize that it was going out to the public. So maybe from that, I just made an assumption that they were uncomfortable. It just felt, why else say that unless you were uncomfortable about it being public?
So all of that stuff, right? So I know we talked about this morning, but all of that stuff, I think what we need to do is, in the little preamble that you put for the thing, for the meetings, just say these are public meetings. Welcome to a public Zoom meeting, whatever. Published to YouTube for future reference, or for what do you call it? Reference material, blah, 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 blah. But also, and we can probably use this talk as part of it or something, I don't know, because I know you were cutting up some videos into little clips to be useful. So if we use this one, the idea of these videos and what we're doing in this Zooming is part of the greater experiment of A Course in Miracles, right? So if you've got the blue book, it says, welcome to a great experiment in the very, very beginning.
Where? I heard that and I was like, I can look it up. But...
Oh, maybe in the new edition it doesn't. I remember in the one that I had, which was a very old one, just after the green one, and it came out in 3 books. And then it went to the first edition of the whole book, where they had the text and the workbook together, and it said, welcome to a great experiment. That was basically almost on the very first page, something like that. You don't have to look it up right now.
I know. You said it before and I forgot to look it up. That's fine. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Squirrel.
It's there somewhere. I've read it many times, and I remember hearing it as well in some of the videos. But everything, anyway, regardless, everything is an experiment, because what you're doing is attempting to look at ideas that you hold in mind that you think are actually verbatim and how things are, and then sort of juxtapositioning yourself back against those ideas, referencing the Course instead of your own thinking about them. So you've got 2 perspectives. And when you learn to make decisions, you're trying to learn to make decisions with the Holy Spirit, or the Spirit of wholeness, and you sort of experiment. You kind of like take leaps of faith with where it is you go with your own decision making, and see what pans out, which is how you learn, right? So learning to listen to the Holy Spirit in the beginning is this kind of very haphazard sort of, you ask any student of the Course and they'll ask you, is like, how do I know when the Holy Spirit's speaking to me? Is it a voice, or is it a feeling, or is it an intuition? And there's all this stuff. And it's like, well, you've got to work that out for yourself. You've got to kind of experiment with your own spirituality until you start to pick up on it and feel it. It's like tuning a radio in. But generally there's a very set of specific, or in a general sense, there's a set of specific principles that you can apply, and the lessons and all of that stuff that helps you tune the radio. But at the end of the day, I can't tell you how to listen to the voice for God in you. You have to figure it out for yourself. We can come together to learn how to do that together, and it increases our ability, because like now we can back and forth ideas and be like, oh, I get it. the Holy Spirit would only ever speak to me for something that's in my own greatest interests and the interests of others, right? So the idea that I never get healing for myself alone is what I like to posture these meetings from, okay, or couch these meetings from. The idea that this Zoom meeting would be just for me, just for you, and just for you, that's what's the point? The potential contained within it to reach out and extend these ideas to others is far more than what it is for those of us participating in the meeting. It's not a meeting where we're coming together like an Alcoholics Anonymous or a Drug Addicts Anonymous and having this kind of shelter of anonymity about it. We're here to be exposed. We're here to blow the lid off. You know, I would only be concerned about my position within being exposed in a particular format on here if I had something to hide, right? Which is exactly what we're here to do, is to expose what it is we're trying to hide. So my social standing or my reputation with my friends and neighbors and whatever, they might think I'm crazy if they found out exactly what I'm doing or whatever. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. You are crazy. You got to keep your finger on your nose at all times. It's like, I don't want to be the crazy one in the family. I don't want to be the person in the street with all the cats, you know, like whatever. But it's like, what are you doing?
When it first came up for me, that's exactly what, when it first came up for me, when that whole thing with us being recorded and or the cameras needing to be on, and it was making me cry. Well, you know, I was talking to you about it. And right. I remember Annie, when I was trying to hide, and I was coming with all these really good ideas about how I could hide, like, we'll just do the recording, and I was trying to figure out how to do it, and Annie, like, she caught it, and she was like, what are you doing? And she asked me that question. I was like, when we inquired into it, it was like, I don't want my family to think I'm crazy. And she's like, well, what's wrong with that? And so we really went into that. It's like, I have to like confront that, and that has to be brought up for me to look at, right. That I'm right. trying to hold on to some sort of an image of Tina, which is not true. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like, this whole thing is to expose the attachment to the image, really. You know, we're learning to stay vigilant for the peace of God, which is our own sense of inner peace within our mind, which is that central place here and now. And everything else that distracts us out of that is what we're here to expose. And it gets really subtle. You can get that little kind of like, oh, you know, I didn't know I was doing that. You have lots of those moments where you think you're bippity bopping along on the top okay and everything, and then all of a sudden there's a bump in the road, and you're like, you try to recover from that bump in the road. It's like, hang on, there's no bump on the King's Highway. So it's like, what is that? You got to, you know, the slightest, Jesus says in the Course, the slightest little disturbance, you're in a peace, the tiniest of sighs, you know. It's like, nah, there you go, pothole. There's a bump on the road in the King's Highway. It's like, no, there isn't. It's in my mind. So all of these things that come up, I don't want to be, you know, like, it's funny because when we were talking about it briefly this morning, I had this idea. It's like, all right, well, you want guys to be able to enter in and feel comfortable until they get to a point where they realize that it's about exposing all of that stuff anyway, right? At first, it's like you come with all your lumps and bumps, and you come with your guilt and your false beliefs and everything, and it's like you're not sure what you're getting into. And by the time you realize that you're actually getting into a process of exposing your denial, it's kind of too late. What are you going to do? Just pretend you never heard that there is no world and go back to being in the world, you know, just doing the thing. And I had this funny thought. It's like, well, how can we let guys join in with this until they feel comfortable about exposing all their rubbish, you know, and thing. And I thought maybe we could all wear those little Groucho mask, nose and mustache, you know, and glasses. And then I realized what I was doing. It's like, nah, you can't do it like that. You can't, you know, it'd be so funny, wouldn't it? We'd all be here with those things, and we could change our names, just like Grumpy and, you know.
We'd all have the same name. We'd all be Groucho.
Yeah, we'd all be Groucho or Grouchy or what.
So who's talking now? It's Groucho. Okay, Groucho.
Yeah, Groucho Marx. So I'm going to get one. I don't even know if you can still get those things, but that would be funny. I kind of have one anyway. I have glasses and a mustache. And a big nose. But I saw that I was trying to accommodate for the denial, even in a humorous way. I was trying to accommodate for that which was being presented to me as a denial of the immediacy of being able to enter into an exposition of my falsity, right? So it's like, there is no leading in period. There is no comfortable zone in this. As soon as you're in, you're in. You know, one of the things that I love about the course is it picks you up straight where you're at. It doesn't matter whether you've been treading a spiritual path for 50 years or for 1 year. As soon as you pick it up and you start reading it, boom, everything's exposed, like immediately. You can't not, you know, the false beliefs start to fall away like dominoes everywhere. They just sort of go, go, go. And there's not really any chance to get comfortable with it. You're kind of like thrown straight into the deep end, and you just have to keep going until you learn to swim. And I actually remember many times sitting in the meditation room, sort of in my mind as loud as I could, why me, Lord? Why does this course come to me? Why can't someone else do this course for me? Well, you know, but everybody goes through that period. Everyone goes through that, like, how the hell why has this book come to me? You know, it was so funny. It's like just the funniest thing, you know. I want the revelation, but I don't want the work.
Exactly.
I want the reward, but I don't want to have to do the forgiveness. It's like, oh, let me think about that. Maybe I can just do some of the lessons. And it's funny stuff. All the bargains, you know, all the bargains I try to make in my own thinking about how I think my salvation could look, should look, you know, including whether I want to be exposed in a Zoom meeting. Like, of course I want to be exposed in a Zoom meeting. That's why I'm here. I want to find my blocks. I want to uncover my denial. That's the whole purpose of being in a Zoom meeting. And if that means being in a public forum where people I might know are going to go, what are you doing in a thing like that? And think that I'm crazy, so be it. Because that reflection is totally useful to me in bringing me to the next point of confrontation. And if I'm not making those confrontations with myself, because there's nothing out there going on, it's all going on in here. If I'm not making those confrontations with myself, I'm not really actually participating in my spiritual undoing. I'm just in some kind of spiritual comfort zone where I'm groovy because we're all spiritual now, you know. It's like, I don't want that. I want to find all my stuff. I want to find my junk and my denial and the blocks, like Jesus says, seek for the blocks and find them. I want to find them. Now, that's going to take whatever it takes. And like, having faced some of those blocks, a Zoom meeting is the least of my concerns. As you know, you've just been through 3 days of hell, right? Right? You wouldn't care less about a Zoom meeting in those 3 days of hell. It's like the furthest thing from your mind. It's like, what is this energy? It's like it's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. And you adjust to it and adjust to it and adjust to it. And in the moment you don't adjust to it, something else happens that's not of your own making, and boom, shanker, you have an experience or a holy instant, right? Now, that's going to come around again for you, and don't adjust to it. No matter if the doorbell rings, people ask you out to shuffle dance, or no, it doesn't matter what it is. Draw that circle in the desert and do not get out of it. Stay in it.